Well, we've got Greg Lancaster here, who's been a successful business entrepreneur and a Christian musician in his life. And now he's also an author with his book, The Eternal Purposes of the Father. And I'm glad that we've finally got this set up because I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me. I think that's the first time that's happened in doing interviews.
First time to meet you.
Yeah, it's great to have you here finally.
Thank you.
Now, this book, The Eternal Purposes of the Father, how would you describe it?
I describe it as a study on what God had in mind in creation for the long term, what his purposes was for creating everything he has created.
What are those purposes, if you can give them away without spoiling too much?
Certainly, the purpose of all things in God, I believe, is that he will be all in all, and all mankind will see the salvation of God. And on the journey, when the Bible says every knee will bow, every tongue will confess that Jesus is Lord, that has been interpreted over the years by the institutional church that whether they like it or not, they're going to bow. But that's not the case in my mind. In my mind, God is love, and he wants a loving relationship with us. And when the Bible says that all things we put under the feet of the Lord, of Jesus, it doesn't mean he's going to be forcing people to do anything. Jesus is irresistible. Once we actually get a picture of who he is, we will not be able to help ourselves but worship him. So eventually, all things, God will be all in all, and all things will be gathered together in Christ. And all mankind, all flesh will see the salvation of God. That's what my book says, basically.
And what inspired you to write it?
What happened in my own life, actually. I was a pedestrian that was run down by a car, and the injuries were massive, and my prognosis was basically who knows. Some of the finest neurological specialists in one of the finest trauma centers in the world here in Seattle basically did not have a prognosis for me. They shrugged their shoulders when my parents asked them what my prognosis was and said, "We don't know. What you see might be what you get. I have no idea." So there was no idea, no prognosis even as to whether or not I would live. But miraculously, I did. And along the way, God shared his heart with mine and showed me that he is a God of love, and he wants intimate relationship with us, not just knowing about him, but knowing him personally. And as I grew in that knowledge and that understanding, I just had a strong longing to share that with other people. So that's why I wrote the book.
Yeah. When was it in your life that you got hit by this car? Because you mentioned your parents. Was it when you were quite young?
No, it was when I was 40 years old. That was February 22nd, 1996.
Wow.
I was out for a walk. With a girlfriend, and I got run over, and I got her out of the way, and the injuries were massive, terrible injuries. I was on life support for 3 days in the hospital, and I was in a coma for 6 weeks, and I was in the trauma center for 4.5 months before they released me from the hospital. But the journey had just begun for healing then. It took me actually 19 years before I actually recognized that Greg was back.
Yeah.
Long haul.
Yeah, that's quite a long time, isn't it? 19 years, because by the time it's ended, that's a third of your life.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's less than a third now.
Yeah. Would you say that moment was quite a turning point in your life?
Absolutely. And I was a church-going person, and I thought myself to be a Christian before the accident. Most of my life, actually, I went to church with my parents, and I knew about Jesus, but I didn't really know him. And that was the turning point. A relationship was started between me and the Lord that is more incredible than I ever dreamed could be.
How long did it take you to write this book?
About 6 months.
Wow.
And I just stopped. I was working full time, but I took 6 months off literally to write the book. And I couldn't stop. It was so exciting to me to be sharing my heart with people in this sense that that's all I did was write a book for 6 months.
Would you say you quite enjoyed the experience?
Well, it was a lot of work, but yeah, it's what I wanted to do and what I continued to want to do as I was writing. It was really an exciting experience for me to be expressing my heart in this manner.
Yeah. Is this your first book, or have you done ones before?
This is the first book I've ever had published, yes.
Yeah. So have you written books that haven't been published?
Well, I did write one for my family, the life story of all my children. I have 3 children. They're adults now, but I wrote everything I could remember about their childhood and experiences we had together growing up. And I only made 4 copies, one for each of my 3 children, one for me and one for my parents. So I didn't want to publish it as a personal thing.
That's true. Why did you decide to call this book The Eternal Purposes of the Father?
Because that's what it was about. And it's actually a study on, in my mind, it was a study on the difference between, how do I say this without offending everybody? Between relationship with Christ and religion, which I found to be prevalent in the institutional church today. Did I offend the whole world there, you think?
I don't know. It's not for me to say. But what do you think the cause of that difference is today?
So that's a long story. It started way back in the early church days when Emperor Constantine decided to declare Christianity the state religion and melded it together with all the pagan religions of Rome. And at that point in time, he became the head of the church, and he kind of tried to take the place of Jesus as the head of the church. And since then, that trend of people being preeminent in all things regarding Christianity has continued. And the difference there is the purpose of all things right now is the preeminence of Jesus. And the Bible says all things will be put under his feet. He will be preeminent in all things. But the difficulty right now with the institutional church is they think that man should be honored sometimes above Christ. And that just tears at my heart. I mean, does Jesus have the preeminence in the services of the institutional church, or does the orator have the preeminence, or the musicians, or are they controlling the whole show, or are they allowing God to do it? That's a big question, and I'm finding in my years and years of being in institutional churches that typically Jesus isn't involved a whole lot. Yeah. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think so. In your opinion, obviously, what do you think should be done to involve Jesus more?
John the Baptist said in John 3:30, after Jesus came to be baptized, John 3:30 says, "He must increase, but I must decrease." And that's what needs to happen in the institutional church. Jesus needs to be increased, not man. Man needs to be decreased so God can be over all.
Yeah.
And preeminent in all things.
Now, you've actually got a chapter in your book that's drawn from a Bible passage. That chapter is, of course, Becoming Like Jesus and Downward Journey. What do you look at in that chapter?
I look at John 3:30. He must increase, but we must decrease. To allow Jesus to be preeminent in all things, we need to get out of his way.
How do we get out of his way?
Surrender. If you are in relationship with him, he he did in my life, he will change my heart. He changed my heart so that I allowed him to, how do I say it, to govern my life. Does that make any sense? It's probably pretty vague.
Yeah, I think so. In the book, the cover is quite interesting because I like the different fonts on it. The first and last words, the and father, are a maybe more fancier font, and then you've got a simpler font for eternal purposes of the. Whose decision was that? Was that yours?
Well, actually, that was designed by my publisher, and I just approved it when they showed it to me.
Yeah, right. So I take it you like it.
Yes, I do. I think it looks really well, real good.
Do you think it represents anything to you?
My heart. And I can tell you, I'm going to quote a musician that I am very fond of, a lyric in one of his songs. A man named Bruce Coburn wrote a lyric in a song of his that just touched my heart and moved me to be sharing these thoughts in my book. The lyric goes, "I've got this thing in my heart I must give you today. It only lives when you give it away." That was an amazing lyric to me.
Yeah.
And it's what I thought about through the whole time of writing the book. Sharing my heart with anybody who would listen.
What was your reason for writing the book? Was it simply that?
Pretty much, yeah. The reason was I wanted to share what God had been doing in my heart with anyone else who would listen.
Yeah. And you've actually been a Christian musician yourself, haven't you?
Yes.
How did you find the transition between writing or performing music to writing a book?
They're not similar in any way I can think of. Performing music. I played music on worship bands and churches for 35 years, many different churches and big ones, and we made some type music, and we in a lot of cases we rocked. But I'm not sure. We were telling ourselves that we were leading people into worship, and people after the service sometimes would say, "The Spirit really moved today, didn't he?" And I think, well, the music was hot, so maybe that's what was moving you. I don't know. It's a matter of preeminence. Who will you give preeminence to? The musicians because they're hot today, or the Spirit of God? It's kind of a difficult thing to explain in somewhere less than 377 pages.
Yeah, that's the thing. And 377 pages, how many chapters are there?
I've never counted. I didn't number them. I just entitled them. I'm not sure how many chapters there are.
Oh, well, that's interesting. I'm going to count them in a second, but I'm not going to do it now because it'll take a while. There's a few, but they are an average length of chapter, so it's quite manageable, really, isn't it?
I think so.
What is your favourite chapter? Do you have one?
Well, I think I do, yes. The one that moved me the most is one that was written by somebody else that I included in the book because it was so powerful. This chapter was written by an organization called God's Kingdom Ministries, and it just spoke to my heart so powerfully that I had to insert it in the book. And I didn't change it at all. I just put it in as they wrote it, and I gave them credit in my acknowledgments. The chapter would be part one of If God Could Save Everyone, Would He? Starting on page 130.
Yeah.
That was a powerful chapter.
One of 19 chapters. I've just counted it.
19? I didn't know.
Yeah. Do you think you'd be able to write more books in the future?
I don't know. It depends on how I get inspired. It's an inspirational thing. It's not really a decision. It's just, like I said earlier, I just was moved by the longing to share what God had done in my life with other people. And I think that was I'm hoping that was the purpose that God had for me when he healed me from terrible, terrible injuries. I laid in the hospital for 4.5 months, and I never knew if I was going to live or die. But look at that. Here I am.
Here you are.
I had many broken bones, terrible injuries. I had a severe traumatic brain injury. And I was literally incarcerated in a body and mind that wasn't working. And somehow I was liberated and became alive again. It's pretty exciting.
It's quite a story. In the meantime, before you possibly write another book, where are we able to find this current book, The Eternal Purposes of the Father?
On Amazon.com. Go to Amazon and type in Greg Lancaster book, and it'll take you to a page that has a lot of Greg Lancaster authors. And you just have to scroll down through the pictures until you see the eternal purposes of the book cover photograph, and click on that, and there you go.
Yeah, excellent. Well, many thanks for coming on today. It's been great to chat to you.
Yes, thank you for doing this with me, and I appreciate you, and this has been fun. Thank you very much.